The mining colony on planet Terrath was quiet that evening. The red sky glowed dimly as dust storms rolled over the metal domes. Inside the main hangar, human engineer Ethan Cole was finishing his shift. His face was tired, his hands covered in grease, and his shirt smelled like engine oil. Life here was simple, routine, and lonely. Just the way he liked it. He never expected that day to change his entire life. As Ethan cleaned his tools, the loud hum of engines echoed from above. The roof lights flickered as a massive alien ship landed outside the colony gates. The ground trembled under its weight. The humans in the hangar froze. No alien vessel ever came here without warning. "Who are they?" a worker whispered. Ethan wiped his hands and stepped closer to the hangar window. The ship's hull shimmered with blue light, smooth like glass, and symbols glowed across its surface. Then the ramp opened and a tall alien stepped out. Silver skin, bright golden eyes, wearing armor that looked grown, not built. The alien moved with calm pride. 2 guards followed him. Everyone in the hangar stared. The colony's commander rushed forward to greet the visitor, but before he could speak, the alien's voice filled the air. "I am Commander Lurith of the Valari Dominion," he announced. His voice was deep and smooth, but his tone carried power. "We come seeking one of your kind." The humans looked at one another in confusion. Lurith's eyes scanned the workers one by one until they stopped on Ethan. "You," he said simply. Ethan blinked. "Me?" The alien studied him, tilting his head slightly. "You are plain," he said finally. Then turning to his guards, he added, "Perfect for my sister." The hangar went silent. Someone laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke, but Lurith didn't smile. His golden eyes stayed fixed on Ethan. "What do you mean, perfect for your sister?" Ethan asked carefully. Lurith's voice softened. "My sister, Princess Vera, was born beneath our world's surface. She has never seen light, never breathed air not filtered by stone. She cannot live among our people. She is different. My council believes she may learn balance through the company of a human." Ethan frowned, unsure if he'd heard right. "You want me to what, babysit an alien princess?" Lurith shook his head slowly. "Not babysit, connect. Humans have stable emotions, grounded spirits. My sister has never known peace. You will live among us and she will learn from you." The commander of the colony stepped forward. "Commander Lurith, this is highly irregular. We can't just—" But Lurith raised a hand. The commander fell silent. "This human," Lurith continued, "has the simplicity we seek. Not weak, not ambitious, plain, perfect." Ethan felt heat rise in his face. "Thanks, I guess," he muttered, unsure if it was an insult or compliment. Lurith turned to him once more. "You may refuse, but if you accept, you will see things your kind has never witnessed. You will meet one who has never seen the sky." Ethan didn't answer. The alien's words echoed in his head. Never seen the sky. After the aliens left the hangar, the commander pulled Ethan aside. "Don't even think about it," he warned. "The Valari are unpredictable. Whatever they want, it's not as simple as they say." Ethan nodded, but that night he couldn't sleep. His small cabin felt colder than usual. The hum of the colony machines echoed through the walls. He sat up thinking about the alien girl hidden underground somewhere on that distant world. Why him? Why a plain human? He sighed and rubbed his eyes. "This is insane," he whispered. Then suddenly his communicator blinked. It wasn't supposed to. He had no active channels. Static filled the screen, followed by a soft, trembling voice. "Please don't say no," the voice whispered. "I just want to see the sun." Ethan froze. The voice was gentle but full of longing. It didn't sound like any human. He hesitated. "Who is this?" he asked quietly. There was a pause and then, "I'm Vera." The static deepened for a second before cutting off completely. The communicator went dark. Ethan sat in silence, heart racing. Outside his window, the red desert stretched endlessly under the stars. Somewhere out there, underground, an alien girl had reached across space to speak to him. A girl who had never seen the light of day. And she wanted him. As the wind howled across the barren land, Ethan realized his quiet, predictable life was over. Something deep inside told him this was only the beginning. Something far greater and far more dangerous than he could imagine. He looked at the dead communicator and whispered, "What are you, Vera?" The screen flickered once more, and for the briefest moment, he thought he saw a pair of silver eyes staring back at him. Then the power cut out. And in the darkness, Ethan Cole knew. He had already said yes without speaking a word. The transport ship hummed quietly as it carried Ethan Cole through the upper atmosphere of the alien world. From the window, he saw nothing but endless brown clouds and sharp lightning strikes that flashed across the horizon. Commander Lurith sat across from him, silent and unmoving, his golden eyes fixed on the horizon. Ethan broke the silence. "You still haven't told me where we're going." "To meet my sister," Lurith replied, his tone calm but distant. "She lives far below the surface where no light can reach." "Sounds cheerful," Ethan muttered. The ship descended into a massive crater. Beneath it lay a dark entrance, a gaping wound in the planet's surface. The moment the craft entered, Ethan's stomach turned. The light outside faded until only the faint blue glow of the ship's engines remained. They were diving deep underground. As they landed, the ramp opened into a world unlike anything Ethan had seen. The tunnels were vast and glowing faintly with soft green moss that shimmered like stars. Strange crystalline roots ran along the walls, pulsing with light. The air was cool, heavy with moisture. Lurith led him through winding paths. Guards stood at every corner, their faces emotionless. Ethan noticed something odd. None of them looked directly at him. It was as if they were afraid to. Finally, they stopped before a sealed metal door. Lurith placed his palm on a panel and the door slid open with a hiss. "Princess Vera," he said softly, "your guest has arrived." Inside the chamber, everything was made of smooth stone. In the center stood a tall glass dome filled with dim white mist. And inside that dome stood a girl. She was slender, almost fragile, her skin pale with a faint silver glow. Her long white hair floated gently in the mist like silk. When she turned, Ethan saw her eyes, silver like moonlight reflecting every light around her. "Ethan Cole," Lurith said, gesturing to her. "This is my sister, Vera." For a moment, Vera said nothing. She stared at Ethan curiously, as if unsure he was real. Then her lips moved. "You are the human?" Her voice was soft and trembling, like she was afraid to break the silence around her. Ethan nodded awkwardly. "Yeah, that's me. And you must be the princess." She smiled faintly, though it looked unsure. "I don't know what that word means anymore," she said. Lurith turned to Ethan. "She has never seen the sun. Her body cannot bear the radiation of our star. The underground keeps her alive." Vera stepped closer to the glass, pressing her hand against it. "Alive," she whispered, "but not living." Ethan felt something twist inside him. She wasn't just a girl locked away for safety. She was a prisoner. He moved closer to the glass. "Do you ever wonder what it's like? The sky, the clouds, rain?" Her eyes lit up at the words. "Yes, I've watched old human transmissions. I saw blue oceans and golden deserts. I tried to imagine how it would feel to touch sunlight." Ethan pulled out his datapad and showed her a photo of Earth's sky, bright blue, with white clouds drifting lazily. Vera gasped softly, pressing both hands to the glass as if she could feel the warmth through the screen. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Your world must be full of wonder." He smiled. "It was, but it's got its problems too." Her gaze didn't leave the image. "Problems are what make living real," she said quietly. "I wouldn't mind that." Before Ethan could answer, Lurith placed a hand on his shoulder. "Time is up. He'll speak again tomorrow." Vera looked disappointed. "Brother, please, just a little longer." But Lurith's face hardened. "Enough. Rest, sister." He guided Ethan out of the chamber, the heavy door sliding shut behind them. As they walked away, Ethan turned back. Through the glass, he could still see Vera's eyes watching him, filled with longing and something else. Hope. Later that night, in his quarters deep within the alien facility, Ethan couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in his mind, alive but not living. He stared at his datapad, the picture of the blue sky still glowing faintly. Then he noticed something strange. His communicator blinked again. A faint light pulsed, followed by a small voice. "Ethan," she whispered. "Thank you for showing me the sky." He sat up quickly. "Vera, how did you—" "I rerouted the signal," she said softly. "Don't tell my brother." Ethan smiled to himself. "You're braver than you look." "No," she said, voice trembling. "I'm just tired of the dark." The connection went silent, but the warmth of her words stayed with him. And for the first time since he arrived on Terrath, Ethan didn't feel like a stranger. He felt like someone had been waiting for him all along. Days passed in the silent underworld of planet Tereth. Ethan had grown used to the cool air, the glowing moss on the walls, and the endless tunnels that seemed to stretch forever. Each morning, a pair of guards escorted him to Princess Vera's chamber. Each evening, he returned to his quarters filled with new questions. What was she really? And why did her people fear her so much? He could sense that Lurith was hiding something deeper than the fear of sunlight. Inside her glass chamber, Vera sat cross-legged, her eyes closed as if meditating. When Ethan entered, she smiled. Her silver eyes shimmered like moonlight on water. "Good morning, human," she said softly. "Morning, cave princess," Ethan joked. Trying to make her laugh, she did laugh, a small, musical sound that made the guards outside glance through the door in confusion. The Velari rarely laughed. To them, laughter was something primitive, unnecessary, but for Ethan, that small sound meant the world. "I've been reading about your world again," she said eagerly. "The animals, the oceans, the storms. Tell me, what is rain like?" Ethan smiled, sitting beside the glass barrier. "Rain?" he said. "It's soft like tiny fingers tapping on your skin. It smells like life. When it rains on Earth, everything feels new again." Her eyes widened with wonder. "That sounds beautiful. You'd love it," he said quietly. "One day, maybe you'll see it for yourself." But her smile faded. "I can't," she whispered. "They won't let me. I'm not like them." Ethan leaned closer. "Why do they keep you locked away, Vera? What are they afraid of?" For a moment, she didn't answer. Then she reached into her sleeve and pulled out a small crystal shard. It glowed faintly in her palm, pulsing with light. "My blood made this," she said. "Every cell in me holds energy your machines cannot measure. They say it's dangerous, but I think it's just misunderstood." Ethan's brow furrowed. "Energy from your body?" She nodded. "My people were once united with human, long ago before your history began. But when the Velari evolved, they removed emotions. They said feelings were weaknesses. Love, grief, curiosity, and all gone. Only logic remained." Her voice softened. "But I was born wrong. They say I'm a flaw, a creature touched by the past." Ethan stared at her in disbelief. "You mean you have human emotions?" She smiled faintly. "Maybe that's why I can talk to you. You don't frighten me like they do." The weight of her words sank into him. The aliens had erased emotion from their DNA, and yet their princess carried a human spark inside her. It wasn't a curse. It was a miracle. Ethan spent hours each day teaching her about human things, laughter, stories, dreams. He told her about the smell of coffee, the sound of rain on a window, the feeling of standing in the sun after a long storm. In return, she taught him about the underground world. She showed him glowing worms that fed on crystal light and rivers that shimmered like liquid glass. She even let him hold the crystal her blood had formed. It was warm, like it was alive. But their growing friendship didn't go unnoticed. That night, as Ethan returned to his quarters, he found the door open. Inside stood Lurith. "Commander," Ethan said cautiously. "Something wrong?" Lurith's golden eyes gleamed. "You've been visiting her too often." "My sister grows attached. That cannot continue," Ethan frowned. "She's lonely. You can't just cage her forever." Lurith's face hardened. "You speak of what you don't understand, human. She is not a prisoner. She is containment." "Containment?" Ethan repeated. "You mean she's dangerous?" Lurith stepped closer. "Her power nearly destroyed half our world when she was a child. She absorbs light and releases it as destruction. If she ever stands beneath the sun again, it will burn everything." Ethan's heart sank. "But she's still just a girl." "She's more than that," Lurith said darkly. "She's the last remnant of something that should not exist. Do not make her forget why she is down here." The commander left, his footsteps echoing in the tunnel. Ethan stood there for a long time, staring into the darkness. Containment. The word repeated in his head. Back in his quarters, he stared at the crystal Vera had given him earlier. It pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. He felt its warmth through his palm. He realized something then. Lurith was wrong. The crystal didn't feel dangerous. It felt alive. As he placed it on the table, the communicator blinked again. Vera's soft voice filled the air. "Ethan," she whispered. I heard them talking. They say I'm a danger to the world. You're not, he said firmly. You're proof that your people can feel again. There was silence. Then she whispered, almost in tears, Then why do I feel so alone? Ethan looked at the glowing crystal and clenched his fists. You won't be for long, he said. In that moment he made a silent promise, to find the truth beneath the lies, even if it meant standing against an entire alien world. The next morning, alarms screamed across the underground facility. Bright red lights flashed through the tunnels and guards sprinted past Ethan's quarters shouting in their alien tongue. He rushed into the hallway confused just as a squad of soldiers surrounded him. Human Ethan Cole, the lead guard barked, his voice cold and mechanical. You are to come with us immediately. Ethan's stomach dropped. What did I do now? They didn't answer. They grabbed his arms and marched him through twisting tunnels until they reached the upper council chamber, a massive dome of black stone glowing with silver veins. Commander Lurith stood at the center, surrounded by other Velarre officials. His golden eyes burned with anger. Ethan was shoved to his knees. Explain yourself, Lurith said. His voice echoed through the hall. Ethan frowned. I don't even know what this is about. Lurith raised a crystal tablet showing security footage. Ethan and Vera in her chamber. The two of them laughing, talking, and holding the glowing crystal together. You entered her isolation cell without authorization, Lurith said sharply. You touched her. You shared energy with her. Do you realize what that means? Ethan swallowed hard. She's not some creature. She's a person. She just wanted someone to talk to. Lurith's voice rose like thunder. You think this is about loneliness? You have no idea what she is. The council began murmuring. Lurith turned to them. My sister is not like us. Her body converts light into plasma, raw destruction. When she was a child, she reached toward sunlight through a crack in the ceiling. Entire chambers melted. Hundreds died. The room fell silent. Lurith looked back at Ethan, eyes full of fury. That is why she remains underground. And you, human, have awakened her emotions, her instability. If she rises again, this world will burn. Ethan stood, trembling but defiant. So you'd rather keep her buried for the rest of her life? You call that safety? You're afraid of her because she reminds you what it means to be alive. Gasps filled the chamber. Velarre never shouted at their commanders, let alone a human outsider. Lurith's expression hardened like stone. Enough, guards, prepare the ship. This human is to be deported to his colony immediately. Two guards grabbed Ethan by the arms, but before they could drag him away, the entire chamber shook. The lights flickered. A low rumble echoed from below. Everyone froze. Then a voice, soft but trembling, echoed through the comm system. Brother, stop. Lurith's eyes widened. Vera. The large doors burst open and Vera stepped inside. Her pale skin shimmered and faint streams of light flowed from her fingertips. She wore a dark cloak, the fabric fluttering though there was no wind. The guard stepped back in fear. Lurith's voice broke with disbelief. You should not be here. Vera's eyes locked onto Ethan. I heard everything. You said I destroy what I touch, but you're wrong. Her voice trembled but grew stronger with each word. I've been locked in the dark my whole life, but I don't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted to live. Ethan stared at her, awe and fear mixing in his chest. Vera, how did you get out? She smiled faintly. I followed your signal. You showed me the sky, remember? I wanted to see it for myself. Lurith stepped forward, raising his arm. You cannot. You'll kill us all. But before anyone could move, Vera spread her arms. Light burst from her palms, painting the entire chamber in gold. The guards shielded their faces. Yet the energy didn't burn. It shimmered softly like sunlight through water. For the first time, she was controlling it. I'm not your weapon, she said. And I'm not your curse. Ethan's heart pounded. The light around her flickered, growing unstable. He ran forward, grabbing her hands. Vera, stop! You'll hurt yourself. She looked up at him, tears forming in her glowing eyes. I can't stop it. Then focus on me, he whispered. You said sunlight feels warm, right? Think of that warmth, not destruction. Her trembling slowed. The light began to calm. Slowly it dimmed until only a faint glow surrounded them both. When it ended, Vera collapsed into his arms, exhausted, but alive. The chamber was silent, no fire, no explosion. Ethan held her close, whispering, See? You did it, but Lurith's face was pale. His voice cracked as he said, If she can control it now, The surface will call to her. Vera opened her eyes weakly. Yes, I want to see the sky, brother. Lurith shook his head, fear flashing in his golden eyes.
If you go above, the world will end. She looked at Ethan. Then I'll take that risk.
And before anyone could stop her, Vera stood, her body glowing once again, and walked toward the exit tunnel leading to the surface. The alarms screamed once more. Soldiers ran after her. Ethan didn't think twice. He tore free from the guards and followed her into the rising light. Somewhere ahead, beyond the rock and shadow, dawn waited. The tunnels shook with every alarm, echoing like thunder through the stone veins of the planet. The air smelled of dust and fear as Ethan ran after Vera, shouting her name. Guards yelled behind him, their boots pounding the metal floors, but he didn't stop. Up ahead, her faint glow cut through the darkness. She moved quickly, her white hair flowing like a ghost's trail, her bare feet splashing through shallow pools of water. The light coming from her skin grew brighter with each step upward. "Vera, wait!" Ethan shouted, breathless. "You can't go out there!" She didn't look back. "I have to," she said, her voice trembling. "I've lived my whole life underground. I want to see the world that killed me before I was even born." The tunnel sloped upward until a massive steel gate blocked their way. 2 guards stood before it, weapons drawn. "Stop," one ordered. "Princess Vera, return to containment." Vera stopped walking, her hands trembling. The glow around her flared brighter, pure white light flooding the corridor. "Don't," Ethan said softly, stepping in front of her. "Please don't hurt them." "I don't want to," she whispered, tears running down her glowing cheeks. "But they won't let me go." Ethan raised his hands toward the guards. "She's not attacking you, let her through." The guards hesitated, but when the energy around her grew unstable, they panicked and fired. The plasma bolts never reached her. The light around her rippled like a shield and vaporized them before they even hit the ground. Ethan froze in horror. Vera stared at the spot where they had stood, trembling violently. "I didn't mean to." He stepped closer, grabbing her shoulders. "Listen to me! It's not your fault. You can still stop this." Her eyes met his, full of fear and sorrow. "I can't go back now." With a scream, she extended her arms. The gate tore open like paper, molten metal raining down around them. Ethan shielded his face and followed her through the gap. Beyond the tunnel was a world of fire-red clouds and golden sand. The twin suns were rising over the horizon, flooding the desert with light. For the first time in her life, Vera stood beneath the sky. She froze. The light hit her skin and her body glowed brighter, the air humming with strange energy. Ethan felt his heart pound as he watched her. She looked like a living star. "It's so warm," she whispered, staring at her hands. "Ethan, I can feel it." But then her expression changed. Her knees trembled. Her skin shimmered violently, light leaking from every pore. The air around her cracked with electricity. "Vera!" Ethan yelled, running toward her. "You're absorbing too much. Turn it off." "I can't," she cried, her voice breaking. "It hurts." Her body pulsed like a dying sun. The sand beneath her feet turned to glass. Waves of energy tore through the desert, throwing Ethan backward. He hit the ground hard but forced himself up again, shielding his eyes from the blinding light. She stood at the center of the storm, screaming in agony, light exploding from her hands like fire. Without thinking, Ethan ran straight into the chaos. The heat burned his skin. The air roared in his ears, but he didn't stop. He reached her, grabbed her hands, and pulled her close. "Vera, look at me!" he shouted. "Focus on my voice, focus on me." Her glowing eyes met his. "Ethan, I don't want to destroy everything." "Then don't," he said firmly. "You're not a weapon. You're alive. You're free. You can control it, just trust yourself." For a moment, everything stopped. The storm froze mid-air, the light around her flickering uncertainly. Her breathing slowed. She closed her eyes. Then suddenly the explosion came. A wave of light erupted, swallowing the desert in pure brilliance. Ethan felt himself being pulled apart, his vision fading to white. He didn't scream. He only whispered, "It's okay. You did it." When the light faded, silence fell. The storm was gone. The ground was scorched black, but the sky above was clear and beautiful. At the center of a vast crater stood Vera, her body still glowing faintly. But she was alive. Around her, everything was calm. Her power had stopped. "Ethan?" she whispered, looking around. "Ethan!" But there was no answer. Only the wind moved, carrying her voice across the dunes. Her eyes filled with tears. She fell to her knees and clutched the crystal pendant around her neck, the one Ethan had given her. It glowed softly in her hands. The energy that once destroyed everything now flowed gently around her, as if it had learned peace. She looked up at the twin suns, her voice breaking. "You said I'd love the sky. You were right." The wind carried her words away, and somewhere beyond that burning horizon, in the quiet of the stars, a faint signal pulsed, steady and human, like a heartbeat waiting to return. The sun rose slowly over the desert world of Tereth, painting the sky in gold and crimson. The winds carried silence through the scorched dunes where, only days ago, an explosion brighter than dawn had torn the surface apart. Nothing should have survived there. Yet among the cracked glass and smoking earth, someone moved. Princess Vera stood at the center of the crater. Her once pale skin now shimmered with a soft golden hue. She raised her trembling hands to the sunlight, waiting for the pain that never came. For the first time, the warmth didn't burn. It felt like a gentle touch. "Ethan," she whispered. The name trembled on her lips. "You did this." All around her, the land was strangely alive. Flowers blooming through black soil, glowing veins of crystal pulsing beneath her feet. The energy that had once destroyed everything now gave life. But Ethan, he was gone. The Villari recovery ships arrived hours later. Soldiers and scientists swarmed the area, stunned by what they found. Commander Lurith himself stepped down from the lead ship, his expression unreadable as he looked upon his sister. "Vera," he said quietly. "You're alive." She turned slowly. Her eyes, once cold silver, now glowed faint gold, warm, human, alive. "Yes, brother," she said softly. "Alive," and no longer afraid of the light. The soldiers hesitated to approach her. Their scanners went wild, unable to measure her energy. She was beyond their understanding now. Lurith took a cautious step closer. "You unleashed the sun itself. How are you still here?" Vera looked down at her hands. "Because he stayed with me, Ethan." She nodded. "When the light consumed us, he didn't run, he held on. He told me to trust myself." Her voice trembled. "He became part of the energy I released. It didn't destroy him, it changed him." Lurith frowned. "Changed how?" "I don't know," she whispered. "But I can feel him. He's not gone, he's everywhere." The scientists began to argue among themselves, theorizing impossible things. Fusion of energy, transmutation, hybrid resonance, but their voices faded into the background. Vera knelt, placing her hand on the glassy sand. The moment her fingers touched the surface, light rippled outward in patterns that resembled neural paths, like a living circuit across the planet. She closed her eyes, listening. A heartbeat echoed in her mind. Faint but real. "Ethan?" she whispered. For a moment, the light pulsed faster, as if answering her. Then it faded again. Tears filled her eyes. "You promised you'd stay," she murmured. "Please don't disappear now." Lurith stepped closer, his voice soft for the first time. "Sister, maybe it's time to rest." She looked up at him, anger flashing in her glowing eyes. "Rest? After a lifetime in darkness, you want me to rest?" "No, I want to find him." Lurith hesitated. "He's gone." "You saw it yourself." Vera shook her head. "I felt him. The energy inside me, he's a part of it. That explosion didn't kill him, brother. It freed him." The commander sighed. "Even if that's true, he's beyond reach." Vera stared at the sky, her heart pounding. "Then I'll go where he went." That night, under the twin moons, she stood alone on the ridge above the crater. The desert winds whispered across her face. The light inside her flickered softly like a living flame. She raised her communicator, the one Ethan had once used to talk to her in secret. It had been silent since the blast. She pressed the signal key anyway. "Ethan, if you can hear me, I'm sorry. I should have listened. I just wanted to see the world the way you did." Her voice broke. "Now I see it. And it's empty without you." The device crackled. Static filled the night. She froze, holding her breath. Then faintly a voice came through. "Vera." Her heart stopped. "Vera, it's brighter here than I thought," she gasped, tears running down her face. "Ethan? Where are you?" The voice faded in and out, distorted by static. "Don't know. Feels like orbit. Light everywhere." Then the signal cut. Vera stared at the communicator, trembling. Orbit. He was alive. Somehow, somewhere above the planet. She turned toward the dark sky, her eyes blazing like stars. "Hold on, Ethan," she whispered. "You found me in the dark. Now it's my turn to find you in the light." Behind her, Lurith watched silently. For the first time, he bowed his head, not in command, but in respect. His sister was no longer the fragile creature born underground. She was something far greater, something new. The legend of the girl in the light was just beginning. The stars over Tereth shimmered like frozen sparks. The once dark world had begun to change. Plants now glowed faintly, and the air carried warmth that hadn't existed before. The people whispered of the girl in the light, who had walked from the depths and turned destruction into life. But Vera wasn't thinking about legends. She was thinking about him. Every night since the signal, she returned to the ridge overlooking the desert crater where Ethan had vanished. She'd rebuilt his small communicator with new circuits, tuning it endlessly. The scientists said the voice she'd heard was an echo, radiation noise, a ghost in the static. But her heart said otherwise. That evening, as the twin suns sank behind the dunes, she whispered again into the cold device. "Ethan, please, say something." At first there was nothing, then a pulse, a faint vibration that made her heart skip. "Vera," came a soft voice, calm and steady. "You still sound like hope." Her eyes widened. "Ethan? It's really you. I told you," he said with a smile in his tone. "It's brighter here than I ever imagined." She turned toward the heavens. Above her, a small flicker of light moved across the sky, too steady for a star, too bright for debris. It grew larger, burning gold against the night. The ground trembled. The wind grew warm. And then, in a storm of dust and brilliance, a ship descended from the stars. Vera shielded her eyes as the ramp lowered. A tall figure stepped out, surrounded by a faint golden aura that shimmered like sunlight through glass. His features were human, familiar, but his skin glowed softly and his eyes reflected both blue and gold. It was Ethan. She froze, afraid to move. "You're alive?" He smiled gently. "Alive. Changed, maybe, but still me." When she touched his arm, it was warm, not like fire, but like light made solid. She felt the hum of energy beneath his skin. "What happened to you?" she whispered. "When the explosion came," Ethan said, "I didn't burn. I became part of it. Your energy, my body, they merged. I woke up in orbit, surrounded by light. I could hear you calling me every night." She felt tears fall, glowing faintly in the reflected light of his aura. "You saved me," she said. He shook his head. "No, Vera, you saved both of us. You turned something deadly into something living." Behind them, ships appeared on the horizon, Velari vessels, their lights scanning the sky. Lurith emerged from the lead craft, flanked by guards. His expression was tense, uncertain. "Is it really him?" he asked. Vera nodded. "It's Ethan, but he's not just human anymore." Ethan stepped forward, his new golden eyes meeting Lurith's. "You feared what emotions could do," he said calmly. "But look around. It's your sister's emotion that saved this world. It wasn't logic. It was love." Lurith hesitated, his authority wavering for the first time. The desert wind carried silence. The commander looked up at the glowing sky, then at the life sprouting where once there had been ashes. Slowly he bowed his head. "Then perhaps it is time we learn from humans after all," he said quietly. Ethan reached out his hand to Vera. "Your people built walls underground. Mine built walls between stars. Maybe it's time we both stop hiding." Vera took his hand, smiling through tears. "Together, then." As they stood side by side, the twin suns rose again, their light no longer burning but gentle and golden. Around them, the Velari soldiers lowered their weapons, staring in awe as the light spread across the horizon. Ethan looked down at her, his voice soft but steady. "You once said I was plain," he teased. Vera laughed, a sound that carried through the desert. "You were," she said, her eyes shining. "But now you're everything I dreamed the sky would be." The wind carried their laughter across the sands. Two beings, one born of darkness, one forged in light, stood together as dawn touched a world that had once feared both. And somewhere, deep within the glowing earth of Tereth, a new heartbeat began, the sound of a world reborn. The legend of the plain human and the girl who found the sun had just begun.